Welcome to this video. It's just basically my predicted 2015 Barclays Premier League table. So here we go. 20th, I think, will be Sunderland. Sunderland haven't had a great start, and I don't think it will get any better as well. I think Dick Advocaat will get he will get sacked. Yeah, I think Sunderland will come 20th. There's no which way about it. I think they will come second. So next 19th will be Norwich. I'm thinking, because I like Norwich, but I don't think they've got a good enough squad to they've got a good enough squad, obviously, but I don't think it's good enough to survive in the top league. I really don't. I think they need to go out and buy players, as I did in the last video there as well, the transfer video and stuff like that. Next, I think will be Watford. I think it'll be just down to the last day with them. I think. I don't think there's it. I think there's a chance they could stay up, but not to my expectations. But the next team could get relegated as well. Bournemouth could get relegated, and so could Watford. It just depends how the two of them play. But Bournemouth, they have a really decent side now with Christian Atsu. So have Watford. I'm not disliking their side by putting them in the bottom three, but I don't think it's good enough to survive. But it could be. You never know. But Bournemouth, they could have a really good season, or they could have a really bad season. It just depends. It just depends on whether they can play great football or if they just turn to shite. It just depends on whether Eddie Howe can just put out his best squad like every game and stuff like that. It's the same with Watford as well. They can play like Troy Deeney every, like, say, two matches or something, and he gets a good batch of goals. The same with Callum Wilson from Bournemouth. It just depends. The next team is Aston Villa. Aston Villa, I think they'll be back down here this year. I don't think they've got a good enough team yet to try and challenge for top 10. You might think different, but I'm thinking Aston Villa will finish quite near the relegation places. And we know that they've got Jordan Ayew and Agbonlahor and Grealish and Akore and everything. It's just not good enough to get up into the top trees of the Barclays Premier League. Right, so the next team is Leicester. I think Leicester will survive with not a problem. I think they'll come 15th. Yeah, so I think Leicester will come 15th because they've got a really good striker in Jamie Vardy and Okazaki up front. But Jamie Vardy, a really good striker, and I think that they'll survive with him up top scoring all the goals if he does that. Next is West Bromwich Albion. West Brom, really good side, signed Rondon last week, so he didn't get to play at the weekend in West Brom's 0-0 draw with Watford, but I think he'll be playing this weekend, and I think it's Chelsea that they play. I think that Rondon will be playing against Chelsea, I'm sure. So yeah, I think that West Brom will survive with not a problem again. They might go into a wee purple patch, the same with Leicester and like all the bottom sides, but I think they'll survive. I think they will. Next, Stoke. Stoke, I think they will finish 13th this season. It's a bit of a tricky one. Actually, just wait 2 seconds and I'll change that. I think that Stoke will finish higher than Newcastle. I'm sure that they will. Stoke, I think that they. Let's go for the team next up is Newcastle. Newcastle, they have got a decent enough side, but I don't think it's good enough to get into the top 10. It's just not good enough. Mitrovic and Wijnaldum and Mbemba, not good signings if I'm being honest. Probably the best one away, Wijnaldum. Probably, I think he's quite a decent player. Stoke, we were just talking about, I think they'll finish in... I think Stoke will finish in 12th because of Xerdan, Shaqiri and the players that I've got up top, like Juve and everything. I think he'll bag a lot of goals this season. So yeah, I think that'll be the case for Stoke this year, just a regular finish. Next up is West Ham. West Ham in 11th. I really like West Ham. I think they've signed a lot of good players this year. Dimitri Payet and all of that. They're in for Rob Green. He's a fantastic goalkeeper, a real legend of this game. And I think West Ham will survive, but they will just miss out on the top 10 by that, I'm sure. They will just miss out by a smidge of a point, probably. Next up is Crystal Palace. I think they will finish in the top 10 this season. Crystal Palace, a really, really good side. I think they are really, really good at the moment. The likes of Zaha, Cabaye, Punchin and stuff like that, and Suarez and just all of that. I think that Crystal Palace will come in the top 10 this season under Alan Pardew. Next up, 9th is Swansea. Swansea, I think, will finish 9th in this season. Swansea again are a tough side to beat as well. When you go to the Liberty, you're not going to get a 6-0 win, are you? A 5-0 win, a 4-0 win. It's going to be a hard-fought game, and that's why I think Swansea will finish in 9th this season. Because of their real battle in games. They've got Gomes, they've got Andre Ayew now, and all that, Tabanu as well. And I think that Swansea will finish in the top 10 again this season. Next up, 8th. You might disagree with this one, but I think Liverpool will not get a Champions League place. They might get a Europa League place, but in my opinion, I don't think they will. Liverpool are just not good enough at the moment. They need a good striker, I think. They really do. Benteke is not enough, and neither is Sturridge. They need a tip-top striker like Benzema or somebody. They might get into a Europa League place, but it's very, very troubling for Liverpool at the moment. I just don't think they've got it in them to finish in the top 4 or the top 7. Next, Everton. They didn't finish in a Europa League place last season, but I think they will do this season. Last season, I just didn't think they were good enough. But when I saw them against Southampton on Saturday, you saw the real Everton play. You really did. Everton were hitting shots. They were absolutely brilliant again. Or Ross Barkley, a young player, a brilliant young player, and a lot of teams are going to find it hard. like they're going to find it hard to control him again. 6th, I think it will be Tottenham. Tottenham, another average side. Tottenham, they are a good side, don't get me wrong. But up in the strikers wise, they've only got Harry Kane. Harry Kane is good, but he needs a good striker to pair up with him. Like if they were getting like Jackson Martinez or something, or somebody like that, like Doumbé or somebody that can partner Harry Kane up front, then they can actually finish in the top 4 if they put their minds to it. But for me, if they don't sign a striker, they won't do it. They won't do it, as simple as that. But I think they will finish in a Europa League place at least. 5th, Southampton. Southampton, a really, really good side, and I think they'll finish in the Europa League again. Sadio Mane, he might be leaving the club because it said in the papers today he might be going to Manchester United. My favourite club, obviously, but I don't think he'll go there in the end. I really don't. But Southampton are a really, really good side. They need a striker, though. That's the real downfall. But if they get a striker, then you never know. They could finish in the top 4. They could really have a good chance of finishing in the top 4. 4th, Arsenal. Everybody has expectations of Arsenal this year. Personally, if they don't sign a centre-half or a striker, they're going to be absolute shit again. It's as simple as that. Giroud and Welbeck are not good enough. They really aren't. To get into the top 4, you really need a striker like Benzema or somebody who can bang in the goals and get you up to the top 2 or something in the first place. In Manchester City, they have Aguero. Man United, they have Wayne Rooney. Chelsea, Diego Costa. Arsenal, Oliver Giroud. It just doesn't work. That's what I'm saying. It just does not work for Arsenal at the moment. Next up, Chelsea. I think they will finish 3rd. Chelsea, they were just not good enough against Manchester City. And the reason why I'm putting them 3rd is because I don't think they'll have a very good season this year. I don't think they'll finish in the top 2. Simple as that. I think they need a centre mid. A centre mid to partner Matic. You might disagree or something like that, but personally I think they need a centre mid. And stuff like that. I think they need a striker as well. Drogba went. They've only got 2 strikers now in Costa and Remy. And Falcao, I should say. Sorry. But they need a striker. They really do. Next up is my favourite club, Manchester United. Man United, I think, will finish 2nd this season. Because I think they've built their side very, very well. If they get a centre-back and a striker, it's the same with Arsenal, with Man United. If they get a centre-back and a striker, you could see them finishing 1st. If it's a good centre-back and a very good striker, you could see them going 1st in the Premier League and winning the title. But Man United, if they don't sign those players, they're not going to have a very good chance, I don't think. And 1st, obviously, Manchester City, a fantastic side, a really, really good side. Yaya Toure, Aguero. I know I'm supposed